Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Joe, this is my moth, and over the next couple of weeks I'm going to be turning it to look brand new again. So firstly, a bit about me. I'm Joe. I've been sailing for quite a long time now. I first went sailing with my dad in a Wayfarer when I was 18 months old. I've raced in optimists and lasers, fevers, 29er, and recently I've bought a moth. In terms of foiling, for about the past year or so, I've been learning with a friend here who's got a wasp, and we were sort of teaching each other, reading the books, finding out how to do it. And then recently in November and December, I went out to Provela in Spain and learned how to do it all properly. And I've started to understand the foiling manoeuvres as well as being able to teach other people. So hopefully through this series we're going to find out a bit more about the boat. We're going to turn it from a boat that looks fairly tired to something that's going to look hopefully brand new. As well as that, I'm involved in quite a bit of yacht sailing and keel boats. So I've sailed on trimarans and Sunfast 3200s, 3600s. And then the biggest one was sailing on a Spirit 63. So as well as my own sailing, I'm also a dinghy instructor and a race coach level 2, and I do quite a lot of coaching in Guernsey with the Optimists, Terrors, Fevers and Lasers fleets. While I was in Spain, I also learnt about coaching moths and other foiling boats. So for those of you not familiar with moths, this is what a moth kind of looks like, and it's a hydrofoiling boat, development class. It's got quite a long history. It's sort of 90-year-old class. Lots and lots of development has gone on in that time. Most recently is the hydrofoils, and you see lots of pictures and video of them sailing around up on their hydrofoils. But a lot of development has gone into composite work, so with carbon and glass fibre and Kevlar. As well as with the rigs with different types of sails, and more recently lowering the aspect and getting deck sweeper sails, which is something that we'll be looking at in the future. This boat specifically is a home build, so you can have sort of two types of boat. You can have a production boat such as an Exocet or a Rocket or a Beaker or a Mach 2, or you can have a home build. So this is a home build, so a guy called James Sainsbury built this boat. And he did all the design, he built it in his living room. The really great thing about the Moth class is there aren't many class rules, and what this means is that unlike a laser or an oppie, you can really design the boat to suit you. In a laser, if you're not the right height, weight or build, no matter how good of a sailor you are, you're not going to be very competitive. Whereas in a Moth, if you're a good sailor, you can design the hull and the foils and the rig to work together to suit you. So whether that's, you might be a bit lighter and so you have smaller foils, smaller sail, whether you're heavier, so that means you have slightly bigger foils and a bigger sail. It really depends on the person sailing the boat. So firstly, I want to say I'm not a professional boat builder. Anything that you see in these videos is just what works for me and what I've learned. So maybe it might not be right for your particular scenario. And before you start working on your boat, it's always a good idea to have a practice go on something that's not structural and not cosmetic. That way, if you do make any mistakes, you're not going to have to grind them back out of your boat and do it again. So a bit now about what I'm going to do to the boat. So at the moment, it's looking a bit tired. The boat's now 5 years old since she was launched, and James sold the boat in 2017. And the owners since then haven't really had the time to really dedicate to moth sailing. Fortunately, lockdown has sort of come at the right time for me. I got the boat disassembled a couple of weeks ago, and it's been sat in a workshop in the warehouse at work for a while I've been busy doing other things. So luckily I managed to bring the boat home, so I'm able to do work while we're in lockdown. So the first mini project that I've got is I'm building some trailer cradles for the boat. On the land at the moment it's a bit unstable. I've added some extra bits to help make it more stable, but I think that making a proper set of cradles for the trolley is really going to help me. It also then gives me a chance to straighten up the trolley and get it all working properly and exactly how I'd like to. The next thing that I'm going to move into is I'm going to sand the boat back. So this orange and green is going, I'm going to sand it back and it's going to be painted orange on its own. So once I've sanded the boat back, I've got some carbon repairs to do, so there's a couple of soft spots that need looking at and a couple of cracks that I'm going to investigate. I'm also going to move the main sheet position. So at the moment I've got it here, and that's fine for the rigs that I'm using, but the trend of the class at the moment is to have lower rigs and bigger deck sweepers, and so I'm going to need to move my main sheet position back a bit, probably to around here, to then allow me in the future to have a big deck sweeping sail. And a big deck sweeping sail is really good in the heavier conditions, so sort of 12 knots onwards. Most people are generally using a deck sweeper, and it seems to be a really big gain. So once it's all sanded back and the repairs are done, I'm then going to be getting into painting the boat. So that will be after lockdown's happened. I'm going to take it back up to the warehouse, and that's where we're going to paint it. Once the boat's all painted, it's time to start putting it back together. So that'll be putting the wings back on, getting all the fittings back in, getting the bowsprit reattached, that kind of thing. So once the boat's all put back together, then I can start looking at my control systems. I've been testing a new Vang and a new Cunningham, and so those will be finalised with new ropes and tidying up all the blocks, making sure that it runs really smoothly and is fitted to the boat properly and tuned. I'm also going to add myself a new wand length control and a new gearing control. The ones on the boat at the moment are sort of bodge jobs, made from the fittings that were already there. I'm going to try and do it properly, set it all up, so hopefully I'm going to have really smooth running systems. Sort of as a side project to all of this, I've got all the carbon in the garage with me, and I'm going to be sanding that all back and putting new lacquer on it to make it look really nice, so that you can properly see through, clear coat through to the carbon, weave, and that should make the boat look a lot better. The idea of this project is to really just bring the boat back to life, make it look nice and vibrant, make everything look really nice, so that both when I'm sailing it, I'm proud of sailing it, and also eventually when it's sold on, I'm not going to have a huge jobs list of things to do to make it sellable. So if you've enjoyed this brief introduction to my project, then leave a like. If you want to see more and follow the project along, then subscribe. And if you have any questions, then leave a comment. I'm more than happy to help explain. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.